Hey travel friends, welcome back to our channel. My name is Stoof. In this video we're going to talk about some great things you can do in Yellowstone National Park, especially if you're visiting for a couple days or a long weekend. We visited Yellowstone National Park most recently in August of 2021, that's what most of this footage is from, as we were coming down south from Glacier National Park and heading down towards the Tetons. We just spent a long weekend here, and I wanted to share the things that we did during our time in Yellowstone and maybe help you plan out your own trip to Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park is located in northwestern Wyoming, and little bits of Montana are also included in this national park. The park has like two big circles is the shape of the road that takes you through the park. It's almost like a number 8, and there are a number of sights you can see without going too far from the road, which is one of the great things about this park. You don't have to be in perfect hiking condition to be able to see a lot of the amazing things this park has to offer. I put together a list of 8 great things you can do in Yellowstone National Park following the park road, starting at the south entrance of the park. So starting from the south entrance and heading north, the first stopping point on my list is the West Thumb Geyser Basin. If you have never been to Yellowstone National Park before, this is a great introduction to the geothermal features in this park. You can see hot springs, boiling water right next to Yellowstone Lake. You have some amazing views of Yellowstone Lake while you're here as well. And there's a boardwalk that will hike you through this entire geothermal area where you'll have views of the beautiful turquoise blue hot springs. You can see the steam rising up, and then the colors turn into this like rusty iron orange. You'll see hints of yellows, greens, white. There are lots of these little geothermal bacteria that love that hot water, and they create those magnificent colors you see. You can learn more about this when you read the plaques along this boardwalk path. There is a little bit of a hill there, but in general, that is a very easy walk to visit those geothermal features. After visiting the West Thumb Geyser Basin, you're going to head west along that park road and stop at Old Faithful. Old Faithful is a famous geyser at Yellowstone National Park. It is probably the most famous geyser in the world, if you'd ask me. This geyser has an eruption interval time, so downtime between eruptions is 1 hour to 110 minutes usually. It erupts between 17 and 20 times a day, and the eruptions only last like 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes a little longer. There is like a big amphitheater set up with like stadium seating, a few rows of that around Old Faithful, so hundreds of people can be watching this at a time. There is a massive parking lot here, so you never really need to worry about getting a parking spot. You might just have to walk a little bit if you have to park farther away. There are a handful of places to eat here. There's a visitor center. There's the Old Faithful Inn. It's this remarkable historic inn built out of wood and stone. If you just go inside and walk around the lobby, it's really impressive to see in person. And if you happen to arrive at Old Faithful and you have some downtime before the next geyser eruption, you can walk over to the upper geyser basin, and there are a handful of other geothermal features you can look at very close within walking distance of Old Faithful. You could spend a couple hours in this area alone. You're going to hop in the car and continue heading west, and we're going to come to stop number 3, one of my personal favorite things in Yellowstone National Park, the Midway Geyser Basin, featuring Grand Prismatic Spring. Now, Grand Prismatic Spring is one of the biggest and most beautiful hot springs I've ever seen. It's called Grand Prismatic because of all of the colors you can see. There are the brilliant turquoises, yellows, orange, reds, and you can see it all on a clear day. Unfortunately, when we visited in August 2021, we went in the morning to try to beat the rush because it is a little bit trickier to get parking here. I would recommend not coming between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. because that's when it's really busy, or you're just going to have to wait for a parking spot until someone leaves. So we got there around 7:30 a.m. The sun was up, but there was a lot of fog that morning, and as you can see, a lot of mist. It was very cold. Lots of steam was coming up off of the ground from the geothermal features, all that hot water coming out of the ground. And when we got up to Grand Prismatic, we took the boardwalk that takes you right up to Grand Prismatic to see it at eye level. It was kind of hard to see because there was so much steam coming off of it. So I want to share some footage with you from 2019 when we visited Grand Prismatic on a clear day. You can actually park a little bit farther south at the Fairy Falls Trail, and it's about 1.5 miles out and back to this overlook of Grand Prismatic Hot Spring, where you're at a higher elevation and you get those amazing views of Grand Prismatic. Next, you're going to continue north along the Park Loop Road, where you'll have the chance to make a left and go west out of the park to West Yellowstone, Montana. This is a great place to stay for the night. Cute little touristy town, good pizza there. We stayed there in 2019. Or you could keep heading north, and the next stopping point on our list is the Norris geyser basin. This is the hottest, one of the most active geothermal areas in the park. One of the most popular sites in this area is Steamboat Geyser, which didn't erupt very often before 2018. However, in 2018, something happened and it started erupting more often. Now it has frequent minor eruptions of 10 to 40 feet. That's more like what we saw when we visited this park. However, it's been known to erupt over 300 feet sometimes. I would love to see that in person. That would be incredible. As I'm recording this video in December 2021, the most recent major eruption was on December 16th, and you can look up the list of past major eruptions in the link in this video description. This area has a number of geothermal features. This is also one of the smelliest areas in Yellowstone National Park, so if you're new to Yellowstone, you should know that some parts of this park smell like sulfur, like rotten eggs, and that is due to all of the sulfur being spewed out by some of these geysers and vents and hot springs. So as you're walking the boardwalk, you're going to see some of these amazing features. Boiling water. This is one of the hottest areas of the park, as I mentioned, and you might get a few whiffs of rotten eggs as you're walking by. But don't let that stop you, because this is an amazing part of the park. The next stopping point on my list, Mammoth Hot Springs, will make you feel like you are on another planet. And it did that exponentially more than normal when we visited in August 2021, because the air was filled with wildfire smoke and haze blocking out the blue sky, and the whole place looked like we were on Mars. Like the sky was not blue. You could see the glowing sun in the sky, but it was not bright because of the thick wildfire smoke, and the colors that my iPhone camera picked up just look that much more extreme because of the light conditions. But this is in Wyoming. I will show you some footage of this at the end when we went in 2019 on a clear day, and how much different it looks. I had to look up how these terraces formed. Here is my result straight from the National Park Service website. Limestone, deposited here millions of years ago when a vast sea covered this area, provides the final ingredient. Hot water with dissolved carbon dioxide makes a solution of weak carbonic acid. As this solution rises through the rock, it dissolves the calcium carbonate, the primary compound in limestone. At the surface, the calcium carbonate is deposited in the form of travertine, which is the rock that forms these terraces. So to me, that sounds like as the groundwater is coming up, it's dissolving the limestone under the surface slowly with that acidic water, and then it comes up and it just drops it and deposits these minerals at the surface. From the Mammoth hot spring area, you should stop in the Mammoth area. There's a little town there, there's a visitor center, there's a spot to get gas, some places to eat, some places to stay, and you're also able to head north out of the park to Gardiner, Montana if you'd like, or you could continue along that main park loop road heading east now toward our next point on the list, which is Nate's personal favorite, Lamar Valley. This is the greatest spot to view wildlife in Yellowstone National Park. There's a chance that as you're driving around the loop road, you could see wildlife anywhere, but if you haven't and you want to see wildlife, you should drive over to Lamar Valley. This is where the wolf packs live, so if you get there about an hour before sunrise in the morning, you might see a group of people with spotting scopes up on a hillside or on the side of the road. You can walk over to them. Usually people are really nice and will let you take a look through their spotting scope to see the wolf pack if they've already spotted it, or you can buy your own spotting scope. That's what we did for this trip. You're looking at footage of a wolf pack playing here. Nate purchased this spotting scope before our trip and he was very happy he did. I have a link for that spotting scope with our Amazon Associates account in the description under this video if you're looking for a good spotting scope to use. You could also try using binoculars, but a spotting scope can see a little farther than binoculars can. On this particular trip, we hiked the Lamar River Trail. We just did about 2 miles out and 2 miles back. We didn't go too far this day, but this trail could be longer if you'd like it to be. There are a couple intersections with this trail once you get out into the meadow as well. As we were hiking this trail, we saw several bison very close to the trailhead, and some of them were very close to the path, like the hiking trail route. So if a bison is within your path, you should make a new path so you're not getting too close to the bison because they can attack you. They are very scary, big, giant hamsters. After Lamar Valley, you're going to head west back towards that main park loop road, then head south past Mount Washburn. When you come to the intersection with Norris Road that takes you over to the west side of the park, there will also be a turn to go east, and from there you could head east and that will take you over to the Inspiration Point overlook, the Canyon Campground, Canyon Village area, and this is the big Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, where we have Yellowstone Falls. There's a lower Yellowstone Falls and an upper Yellowstone Falls. If you're heading south when you get to that intersection and then you make a left into Canyon Village, that's how you can see lower Yellowstone Falls. So from Inspiration Point, you can see the Yellowstone Canyon and you can see some cool geothermal features and vents on the side of the canyon walls. You can see past deposition of volcanic debris in the canyon, which is pretty cool. And then if you continue along that road, you'll head farther south, which will take you closer to the viewpoint of Lower Yellowstone Falls. And it's a short walk from the parking lot to see Lower Yellowstone Falls. This viewpoint inspired one of my paintings that I made last year. Once you pull out of the Canyon Village area and you make another left, continuing south on that main park road, you'll come to another intersection where you can go left, and that will take you over the Yellowstone River to a parking lot with a short walk to a viewpoint of Upper Yellowstone Falls. There are a handful of little trails and walkways in this area as well. This is a very scenic spot. You can get a little closer to Upper Yellowstone Falls than you can to Lower Yellowstone Falls, but Lower Yellowstone Falls is a little more impressive in my opinion. But if it's your first time visiting Yellowstone National Park and you haven't visited Yellowstone Falls before, I recommend stopping at both of these viewpoints and seeing which viewpoint you like better yourself. The final point on my list is number 8, to try to time your visit with a geyser eruption. So Old Faithful is an easy one. It erupts every 60 to 110 minutes or so. So that one we already looked at. There are about 6 geysers that can be predicted to an extent in Yellowstone National Park, Old Faithful being one of them. Castle Geyser is another one. Grand Geyser is one. Daisy Geyser, Riverside Geyser, and right now in December of 2021, the National Park Service website says that Great Fountain Geyser currently has no prediction available, so that one must no longer be running on its normal schedule. So I recommend checking the National Park Service website. There is an app, I haven't used it myself, to monitor the geysers schedule. And there's not a lot of cell phone service in the park. When I visited this park, we had service in the Old Faithful area, and that was most of where we had service. So find out the geyser prediction times before you enter the park when you still have access to Wi-Fi, or visit a visitor center or talk to a ranger to get the most recent prediction for geyser eruption times. Of these predictable geysers, most of them are in the Upper Geyser Basin right near Old Faithful. Grand Geyser is one of those. It erupts about every 4 to 8 hours, can have eruptions up to 200 feet, and the eruptions usually last 9 to 12 minutes. The next geyser you can kind of predict is Castle Geyser, which is a cone-shaped geyser. It used to look like a castle when it was first discovered and named. This geyser erupts every 10 to 12 hours. It's also located just northwest of the Old Faithful Geyser. And this geyser erupts for about 20 minutes with hot water, and then it has loud steam for about 40 minutes. This one can go up to 90 feet. The next geyser on the list of predictable geysers is Daisy Geyser. This geyser goes off every 110 to 240 minutes, so you wouldn't have to wait too long for that one. That's a good option to see. This one only goes up to about 75 feet compared to the others. It's not quite as impressive, and it lasts for about 3 to 5 minutes, the eruptions. Next on the list is the Riverside Geyser. If I were to come back again, this would be my one to go see, my pick. This geyser erupts about every 5.5 to 7 hours. It can shoot 75 feet into the air with like an arch over the river. So sometimes it creates rainbows, which would be really cool to see. And the last geyser on that list, which currently is irregular, is Great Fountain. And when we visited in August 2021, apparently this Great Fountain geyser erupts every 9 to 15 hours, and we were about 7 hours from the last eruption when we were driving through the area, and we thought, okay, maybe it'll be closer to the 15-hour range. So we went to another part of the park and did something for like 5 hours, and by the time we came back, it already erupted, so we missed it, and we were bummed. So that geyser, it sounds like, is currently in an irregular pattern. It's not really sticking to its normal schedule, so just check the website before you go, and definitely try to make time to see another geyser erupt other than Old Faithful, because these ones are pretty cool. And while we've got the map back up, you can head out the park to the southeast as well, following around Yellowstone Lake, and that is a beautiful way to exit the park. We left that direction in 2019. Alright guys, that wraps up my list that I made of 8 things to do in a short Yellowstone weekend trip, if you have a couple days there, these are some options for you. If you have more time to spend in Yellowstone, there are a handful of other stops in the park. You're welcome to stop at any of these as long as they're open. You can check the current conditions on the National Park Service website to check on road closures and other geothermal things going on in the park. There's always something going on. I also recommend getting out and doing some hiking in Yellowstone National Park. Just be aware that there are grizzly bears, wolves, bison, and other things that could kill you, so please be very careful. Don't hike alone, and make sure you have bear spray if you do decide to do some hiking, especially in the backcountry in Yellowstone. This is an incredible national park. This is Nate's favorite national park. Although it is incredibly beautiful, it is incredibly dangerous. Please keep that in mind when you visit this park. And we also want to keep this park as beautiful as it was when we visit for next generations to come. So please don't throw anything into the hot springs or the geysers, and don't leave trash anywhere. Make sure you pack in and pack out everything, and just take care of this beautiful place that we have and we can all enjoy together. Alright guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for visiting Yellowstone National Park, you can leave a comment and I'll try to help you out to the best of my knowledge. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. While you're here, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our fun travel adventures. We are happy to have you here. Have a great day and happy travels. Bye-bye.